Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Yeah Gaming. How y'all doing on this fine Saturday, right? New Fortnite season yesterday. I couldn't be fucked to make a video, but I'm glad I didn't because it was going to be a follow-up to the last video, but so much shit has come out in between the last video and right now that if I made a video yesterday, it would have already been outdated. So, thanks for Fortnite, for the break, but we're back, and we gotta talk about this XSmart Youtooz lawsuit, copyright. Now it's a child abuse case, child labor. There's a lot to get into here. Let's start at the beginning, but before we get into that, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're trying to hit 100,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I appreciate you all. Let's get into this whole mess. Alright, so if you haven't watched the previous video, I highly recommend you do, but here is a quick TLDR. Youtooz is a company that makes FNAF products. XSmart is a company that makes kind of high-quality FNAF bootleg products. Youtooz decided to send a copyright claim, a DMCA, to XSmart for their Withered plushies, which do not look similar and are not trying to deceive buyers into thinking they're Youtooz, so I thought Youtooz specifically sending the claim was kind of weird. If Scott Cawthon did it, who is in a current active lawsuit with them, it would have made significantly more sense than Youtooz doing it. From my perspective, it looked like Youtooz was being petty because their fucking Withered plushies do not look that good, in my opinion. I think they're kind of low quality. This argument then turned into a discussion about the XSmart logo and how it looks similar to the Youtooz one, which, to be fair, in that last video, I wasn't 100% sure what the hell they were even referring to. On screen in the video, there was like an example, and I'm pretty sure that's not what they were referring to. I'm pretty sure they were referring to specifically the baggies, because we have a picture here of the XSmart Freddy and then the Youtooz Vanny in the bags, and yeah, the layout of it is pretty similar, but like I said, in a court of law type beat, I really don't know how this would stack up because the logos are different, you know, different shapes, but they're very obviously, you know, the XSmart one is very obviously inspired, quote unquote, like very heavily by the Youtooz one, so I'm not really sure where that stands. But that wasn't the argument anyway. It's not like when you go buy these, you see the bag on the site, right? You will not find out you own something that has a Youtooz, like, themed packaging or inspired packaging until you already own it. Like, it's not part of the advertising. So, I really do not think that was the reason for the DMCAs. I really don't think that. But, you know, to be fair, that's what the bags look like. They are definitely way more similar. So, yeah. Alright, so that's pretty much where we left off last time. It was just, you know, everything was up in the air, the DMCA happened, the lawsuit was still happening between XSmart, and that was pretty much it. Until, shortly after my video, XSmart dropped another post where they brought up the fact that apparently the CEO of Youtooz accused XSmart of using child labor services to produce their plushies, which is a crazy, serious claim. Like, legitimately serious claim. I'm not even sure where this claim was specifically made. I don't think it matters that much either because this whole story has become much bigger than just that. But, I mean, I don't know where the claim was made, but, I mean, XSmart seemed to want to respond to it pretty bad because they made multiple tweets about this. So I'm assuming it's real, but because I don't know where it actually came from, I'm going to say allegedly, maybe XSmart's just high off their shit, but I'm pretty sure this is real, the claims. So, because of these claims, XSmart posted multiple long-ass responses, and we're going to just sit here and we're going to go through all of them. And it gets crazier as it goes on. So, here we go. We're gonna start with the first XSmart response and just work our way down and talk about this stuff. Alright, the first response here was done using these images because I guess it was just too long to put in a tweet. And they say, discuss it if you are interested, hashtag XSmart Global. Let's read through this. Alright, XSmart says, hi everyone. Sorry to bother everyone because some trouble happened. If what I write below feels long, you can skip it. Anyways, things have happened and are happening. I, the representative of XSmart Global, believe that I cannot stay silent in the face of false accusations against XSmart. So I really appreciate it if you read this. First of all, we thank everyone who loves and supports XSmart Global, and we are not angry with those who do not like XSmart. Because we are wrong, and we are also right. XSmart Global is a personal brand. All activities from custom plush design, production requirements, product QC, website building, social sales, promotion, and even customer and fan care are covered. It's done by me, the creator of XSmart Global. Maybe you don't believe what I've been doing, but it is true. XSmart Global operates individually and without personnel, and 70% of the workload is handled by me, including responding to everyone's messages on all platforms. XSmart Global only has custom products available, which means I put 100% of my time and effort into those custom characters. Like other FNAF fans, I too have a passion for creating plush characters. Creating custom characters is not wrong, anyone can do it. I believe everyone agrees on that. And he's not talking about, like, you know, FNAF bootleg plushes or whatever. He's just talking about making FNAF OCs or FNAF like plush concepts or like Etsy stuff or whatever. I'm assuming that's what they're saying, because the next part of the paragraph here is, it is only wrong to turn them into commercial goods without permission. That's what XSmart got wrong. So immediately, I mean, it's a bootleg company, of course. They're admitting guilt to this, which, I mean, I think they have to. They're being sued actively. You know, there's discussions between Scott Cawthon, the legal teams, and XSmart right now. So I think if they tried to defend the idea of them making bootleg plushies right now, would be very weird. So yeah, obviously they're gonna, you know, come out straight away and say, it's wrong, you know, hands up, I'm guilty. Maybe XSmart is a small brand, not worthy of attention from other large companies, but that does not mean XSmart will have to receive false accusations from other companies, and here we're about to get into the Youtooz stuff. Specifically, Youtooz has accused XSmart of the following issues, and here's all the issues that Youtooz has allegedly accused XSmart of. 1. XSmart stole the Withered Bonnie design from Youtooz. As we've already gone over, no, this did not happen. This did not happen. 2. XSmart illegally uses the Youtooz logo, leading to customers misunderstanding that it is their product. Like we said earlier, the logos on the baggies are very similar, but I'm pretty sure that's the only extent of that, and right? Like I said, that's something you're not going to see until you already own the product. So is it really misleading customers? I don't think so. It's a weird thing to bring up, and I do not think that was, you know, the reason why they sent those DMCAs. I really think they were just like, snipe out the bootleg competition that's selling well. Just like, do it. I mean, they're in more of a legal right than XSmart is to do it, obviously, so. Alright, here's where we get into the crazy shit. Number 3, XSmart uses child labor. We'll learn more about that later, you know, the responses to that and everything. But, I mean, this was the first time I was hearing about this claim. Holy shit, what a thing to just throw in there. Yeah, their response to this child labor claim is really, like, all over the place and bad for the most part. I feel like they do a decent enough job near the end of this story tying all the loose ends up. But for now, we'll leave it. We'll put a pin in it. That's the huge one, obviously. And number 4, XSmart products do not meet safety requirements for children. As far as I can tell, I don't know why this claim was brought up. I'm assuming all products have to go through some kind of safety testing, specifically if they're being targeted towards children. But I mean, you can just look at the XSmart plushies. They kind of just look like normal, like Funko plushies, maybe a little higher quality. I don't really know anything. I don't know anything about those designs that would necessarily be like dangerous for children, like choking hazards and stuff like that. I don't think that's an issue. It's a weird point to bring up. But you know, maybe they don't meet safety requirements. I don't know where that falls, so I'm gonna leave that. But I mean, in my humble opinion, I don't think this is a good point. I don't think this should have even brought. It's not even a good point to bring up. All right, here we're going into their direct responses to all of these claims here. So they say, explain. Number 1, and this is about the stealing the Withered Bonnie design. This probably doesn't need to be said further because everyone knows right or wrong. Weird response, but I mean, yeah, we've talked about this. The XSmart Bonnie looks literally nothing like the Youtooz one, not even remotely. It's not trying to be a Youtooz. It's not trying to deceive customers into thinking it's a Youtooz product. If anything, it's trying to deceive customers into thinking it's a Funko product. And like I said, if Mr. Cawthon himself or Funko did this, like any of this, I feel it could be way more justified. It's the fact that Youtooz is doing it, and we'll get into a little bit more of that later. But yeah, if this would be less of an issue if it wasn't fucking Youtooz doing it. All right, number 2, which is with the Youtooz logo, you know, rip-off design. We have never used the Youtooz brand name in any product, which is true. They claim the word collectibles design was stolen. They need to prove it with a word. I mean, this is probably the point they're the weakest on. That logo is very, very much, copied from the Youtooz one. Like I said, it might be different enough that it holds up in court. I have no idea. I'm not a fucking copyright lawyer. But it's definitely the weakest point. But I also think it's the point that was added on after the fact so Youtooz could look better. So I don't really care. Alright, here we're going into the child labor accusation response. The first child labor accusation response of many. They say, number 3, does XSmart use child labor? This is a serious allegation and needs proof rather than an undiscriminate statements from a CEO. I'm ready to stand against any lawsuit over this statement by Youtooz. So don't equate us with the accusations you may have had. I mean, I think they're trying to say they do not use child labor, but they're framing it like a question. Like, you should probably know if you're using child labor or not. Why would they start this fucking thing with a question? That's just making them look more guilty off rip. I really think this might be a language barrier thing, because obviously, I don't think English is the guy who runs this as first language, so it might just be that. Things are just being worded weirdly, but I mean, this looks really bad, obviously. It does look like you know, if you're being accused of child labor accusations, the first thing you should do is probably just say no, especially if you know. Don't start with the question, because that makes people think that you're irresponsible and don't know if your products are being made with child labor or not. It's a bad look. It's a really, really bad look. And then number 4, this is for the child safety requirements for products. Number 4. XSmart products do not meet safety requirements for children. The prerequisite when selling on Amazon is to have a child safety certificate for the toy industry. Our products have CPSC certificate. Do all Youtooz products have certificate? I mean, I guess they're saying they have child safety standards, like, in check, like, they're good. That's a bad claim. I guess they're kind of saying that. I don't know why they then bring up, do all Youtooz products have certificates? Who fucking, I mean, probably, yeah. It's one of the biggest collectibles companies in the world right now. I'm assuming they probably fucking do. A weird thing to bring up. Very irrelevant. But yeah, I mean, that was always the weirdest point out of any of these anyway. I don't know why the Youtooz CEO brought this up, allegedly. I have no idea. So yeah, we'll leave it at that, but weird point all around. The above are all unreasonable accusations. I am ready to confront any of the above issues. What made Youtooz bother us? It should have belonged to those responsible for the IP. So pretty much what they're saying there is, Youtooz should not have put this claim in, which I fucking agree with. Youtooz should not have put this claim in. It makes them look petty. Even if they're in more of a legal right area, it makes them look petty, and literally anyone else related to the FNAF brand should have done this over Youtooz, right? Like I said, Scott Coffin or Funko should have done this. It would have made them look less petty and more in the right. Youtooz doing this does not look good. And it just made this whole situation way more, like, explosive than it needed to be. If fucking Scott Cawthon took down XSmart products, who would have given a shit? Nobody. It's because Youtooz did it. I understand that this occurrence may cause further problems, and XSmart may no longer have the chance to obtain a license. And if you don't know, XSmart, after their lawsuit with Scott Cawthon, they're in talks to try to get the FNAF license. No clue if that's going to happen, but their products are high quality, so it would be a W for the FNAF community all around. You know, if they're not using child labor, of course. But, I mean, we'll see where that goes. We'll talk about that a little bit later. It gets brought up a little bit later, but yeah, that's that for now. However, if you receive false accusations, will you stand up or stay silent? I've listened to everyone over the past time. Hope everyone will also listen to XSmart. Best regards. So that's the first response. There's a lot there, but it's not done. We have way more to go through. And the next response was actually deleted, but thankfully I was able to get the screenshots first, so we can go into those. These next set of responses are accompanied by an image of Scraptrap, their Scraptrap plush, which is really fucking funny, the fact that this exists. So fingers crossed they're not using child labor and they get the license so they can drop this, because I need this somehow. I need this somehow. So yeah, pretty much after their first response we just read, because of their piss poor response to the child labor shit, everyone in the replies is pretty much like, why didn't you just straight up deny? Why did you have it as a question? So this is what prompted this next set of responses, which was deleted. Like I said, I have no idea why this was deleted. Maybe it's just a bad response. We'll get into it. This is the first time I'm actually reading it, so we're gonna be figuring this out live. So let's fucking do it. Let's read the deleted XSmart response featuring Scraptrap. Here we go. Hey, if the child abuse story here was true, you probably would have seen XSmart disappear. So why do I bother respond to you? Okay, I've seen so many people bring this specific part of this response up. I've seen this. That is like a Drake type response where he's like, if I was a pedophile, I wouldn't be this popular. I would have already been taken out. No, you can get away with using child labor and not be found out. It's possible. It's not impossible. You know, the fucking chocolate industry is run with like illegal, you know, shitty practices and stuff like that. Like fucking, you know, there are so many industries that are run by terrible people with terrible practices. You know, just because you haven't been outed for it doesn't mean anything. It means jack shit. It's just a really bad way to start this response. And once again, doesn't help them by, you know, looking not guilty. It makes them look so insanely guilty. It's really fucking bad. This is the only and last time I will tell you about the issue of child labor. I come from one of the countries that produces garments and fabrics. I know better than you, just sitting behind your phone or computer and listening to rumors from someone. Our country does not lack unskilled workers of sufficient age. The garment industry and even the teddy bear production all use machine lines. Manual processes require trained workers. So do you think children are skilled enough to complete difficult tasks? Fucking stupid, insanely like, this entire paragraph right here, this little sentence, it's fine up until the last part. What do you mean, do you think children are skilled enough to complete difficult tasks? Motherfucker, child labor issues are a real thing for a reason! This is such a dog shit response. It's actually really bad. And if this person is fucking innocent, they're making themselves look so much worse on so many levels. I cannot fucking believe this. I actually cannot fucking believe this. Okay, let's just keep going. And of course, we do not recruit, do not need, and have no need to employ children. So there we go. They're saying we do not employ children. We have to go through a fucking layer of shitty ass responses to get to that. But we're not done yet. There's still the other half of this long ass tweet, so here we go. To tell you more clearly, Vietnam is the safest country in Asia and the 7th safest country in the world for you to visit according to the TPO magazine. That's enough to show you what we're like, right? Once again, just because a country is safe does not mean there's bad practices going on. I don't know why this keeps getting brought up. It's just like, just because you live in a safe area and just because you think that your country has enough skilled workers does not mean that child labor does not exist in your country. These are just bad responses to something that's being blown out of proportion. Because I'm assuming they probably don't actually use child labor. I have no idea where, CEO Austin Youtooz, I'm assuming it's probably Austin, but, CEO Youtooz got that claim from, got that idea from. I don't know if they just pulled it out of their ass or they have a genuine actual source for that. But I mean, these are just bad responses. I mean, yeah, I don't know what else to say. They're just bad responses. I have also emphasized many times that with the above allegations, I'm willing to confront Austin Long or any party alleges. If it is idle talk, then it is slander. If he or Youtooz has evidence, then they should provide or send it to UNICAF or any relevant law enforcement agency. Which is true. If they have evidence, saying that this company is using child labor, I don't know if putting it on, blast online, obviously that's a good thing, but you should also probably report it, which maybe they are. I don't know why they said, they just assumed immediately they weren't. I'm gonna just go on a limb and say they probably didn't. But I mean, if there really is, real evidence for it, yeah, I mean, they probably should just, take it to a higher law enforcement level. So fair enough, I guess. As a person with a voice, he should be sure of his words rather than create a rumor. As for you guys, I believe that you're aware enough and capable of understanding the problem instead of listening to baseless words from someone. One day I can show you the production process, but not now. And remember that Youtooz is still avoiding the issue of plush design. They're not wrong. At the end of the day, after all this fucking shit, they're still avoiding the initial DMCA where they just said that XSmart was copying them, which, like I've said a million times, they were not even remotely. Their bootlegs came out before the Youtooz plushes did. So yeah, that's the second response. No idea why this was deleted. Well, no, I do have an idea why this was deleted. This is a really shitty response, and it makes them look really bad. And they do put out another response in a second here, but before we get into the final response, Kane Carter, official FNAF fanverse, creator of Pop Goes, came into the discussion and clapped back and tried to get good old XSmart guy here. So we'll read Kane's tweet, which I think is really interesting, actually. All right, so Kane said, "Nobody should randomly claim that a company uses child labor. True, WWW. However, I think your statements, so you do think children are skilled enough to complete difficult tasks, and Vietnam is the safest country in Asia and the 7th safest country in the world for you to visit, according to TPO magazine, that's enough to show you what we're like, right? Are utterly ridiculous." Also true. Very true. And then Kane lists 3 different sources here with quotes. He says from unicef.org, "In Vietnam, there are more than 1 million children aged 5 to 17 engaged with child labor, accounting for 5.4% of the child population in this age group. Among these child laborers, more than half perform hazardous work." So there's a real source from UNICEF. Why did I say it like UNIC? Am I fucking stupid? It's UNICEF. Anyway, yes, that's a real source from UNICEF saying there is a real issue in Vietnam regarding child labor. So, they're not completely innocent. Not at all. "Highly exploited Vietnamese sweatshop workers are being effectively imprisoned by the profit demands of the US corporates." This is from WSWS.org. There's another source. And then from Wikipedia, for child labor stuff, it says, 30% of Vietnamese children between the ages of 6 and 17 join the labor force. Child labor remains a controversial issue in Vietnam, as many people there believe that children should share the workload. So there's some sources saying that, child labor issues are a real thing in Vietnam. I think this is a very good response from Kane. I think it kind of very much concisely puts everything together that everyone's been having issues with this response into one very good, look at this is the issue. And this response specifically prompted XSmart to respond to Kane. So let's get into that right now. All right, XSmart responds to Kane and they say, "Kane, there is a problem of child labor everywhere. Right in the country where you live, every year countless children are discovered working in factories. But that doesn't mean all factories have that problem. This is true. There are child labor issues all across the world. Some places it's worse than others, but I mean, yeah, just because there are child labor issues in a place does not mean that XSmart's specific operation in Vietnam runs on child labor. And we have some decent enough evidence to say it doesn't in a second here, but let's keep going. Even though my plush products are outsourced to a third-party factory, we do not have to race to make money like other big companies. Even though I don't produce directly, I also don't work with places where that happens. So they're just saying that they're not like, racing to throw out bootlegs as fast as possible, which is true. They do have very high-quality products, and they do, go in and out of stock. It's not like the ban bootlegs where they're 100% probably child labor shit involved with all those bootlegs. They're very, very low quality, and they're pumped out very fast to, meet the demand. XSmart is very much more, I think it's more run like kind of like a normal plush company more than like a bootleg plush company. Like, I don't think they're very comparable just because of the quality of the product. But there's always potential for even in high quality, productions. Obviously, there's always the possibility that child labor stuff is still involved. So, I just want to say that, but yeah, you never know. And you should understand that my starting point was creating custom plush and selling them. Regarding the copyright issue with Scott LLC and I have been working for the past 8 months on legal negotiations and are reaching a compensation stage. So basically what they're saying is they're reaching a point in their agreements where XSmart is going to compensate Scott Cawthon for all the money they made on their products, to try to like recoup the damages or whatever, which then, like I said earlier, they're trying to funnel that into getting the license so they can just continue to make products and actually, support the brand, support Scott and all that, which would be, like I said, the best outcome. But let's keep going. This is something you don't know because neither I nor Stryker, Scott LLC, said anything. If I really like what you think, would I also be willing to sit at the negotiation table with Scott for compensation, or can I just disappear and not pay Scott any fees? You understand that the reason I continue to try is to bring lovers good quality products. I don't know why the stuff with the Scott lawsuit was brought up at the end of this, because I don't think that was mentioned anywhere by Kane in his statement. But regardless, I mean, this is a good point. If XSmart was not really trying to, get that license and truly be, legal, real FNAF plushies and trying to do his best to get rid of the wrongdoings, they probably would have just fucking ran away. They're in a different country. If they just fucking dropped off the face of the earth with all the money, what's the chances that they're going to continue to pursue this person? It's, they are working with Scott and Stryker and all that to try to get some kind of compensation to Scott, which, is obviously a good thing. So, I mean, yeah, that is a fair point. Nothing really to do with anything else, though, in this statement. I don't really know why it was brought up at the end. Like I said, I don't think Kane brought any of this up unless it was a different tweet that I didn't see. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird. And then finally here, the big end to this little Kane Carter side plot is that XSmart posted 2 different videos of the production factory where the XSmart plushies are made. And, they go through it, they look at everybody. There are no children there, it's all adults. They're working on the Withered Freddy plushies. You can see just giant piles of them. Obviously, they could have, this could have been staged. They could have gotten rid of all the child workers for these videos. But, it's safe to assume, I'm gonna give them the almost biggest charitability thing ever. I'm gonna assume that these were not staged and these are just hop into the factory, record. It looks fine. It looks like there's no child workers. The fact that we have real footage of the production factory is phenomenal. It's really good. I think these videos are really funny. Just seeing the huge piles of Withered Freddy's everywhere. I like that visual. I'm glad we have that. But yeah, as far as I can tell, no child labor stuff unless they're really hiding it still, which is always possible. But as much as XSmart has had a really shitty response to this, I do think they are sincere and genuine for the most part. So I will give them that. And alright, we have one more thing to move on to, which is the final XSmart response, and then we can wrap this up. Alright, so after they deleted their other response with the scrap trap image, just this morning here, they posted this final response, at least for now, unless this keeps going, we'll see. But they said, "Everyone, please calm down. We can all discuss and I listen to all your opinions. The first thing everyone should understand is that XSmart Global is not a company, it is a personal brand, it does not belong to any company. As you have seen, the lawsuit between XSmart and the individual who owns the XSmart brand, they're talking about FNAF, it has been going on for 8 months with discussions and negotiations. You can see that I am willing to pay Mr. Scott what he deserves and look forward to being granted a license." So like I said, they're trying to work towards that. Just like other fans who make their own FNAF custom characters, what I do is research designs and create custom FNAF characters that people love. I don't know why they're super hyper-focused on the custom thing when they've just been making normal FNAF character plushies. They used to do customs, they have not really done that anymore. And their most popular things are just recreations of real. I don't know why they're hyper-fixated on this one random custom animatronic point, but whatever, we'll move on. What is wrong here is turning into a commercial product without consent. I've been working on the lawsuit with Scott LLC on the lawsuit. I am not hiding. If XSmart was a scammer and a thief, would XSmart still be sitting here to discuss with you? Probably not. They'd probably run, like most of these bootleg companies that do not get any repercussions. Yeah, they probably just run away and gotten away with the money and just fucking fucked off. I mean, it is commendable that they continue to try to defend themselves and stick around, even with all this heat and pressure on them, I will say. As for the baseless accusations from Youtooz, XSmart is willing to stand before them in a lawsuit that they want. But first, they need to do it right, provide evidence, submit it to court, and send me the petition. I have enough evidence to respond to the accusations from Youtooz. After the conclusion of the current lawsuit with Scott LLC, I will respond to the allegations from Youtooz, even though they are a large company that has the ability to override any other small brands. I respect all brands, including Youtooz, but if they make baseless accusations, is it worth it? And of course, I will defend what I am not wrong in any way. I hope you are the ones who understand the problem and provide any evidence that is enough to accuse others. I made it clear that I always admit my mistakes, I always listen to everyone's opinions and analyze what is right and what is wrong. You may or may not like XSmart or any other brand, it's your decision, but you should stand for the most objective point of view possible. And moreover, I'm sorry if any of my words made you feel uncomfortable, so I'm pretty sure they're just kind of saying there, sorry if our shitty last response was shitty. Whoops. So yeah, that's the end of this XSmart shit for now. Who knows where the lawsuit's gonna go, if they're gonna get the license. There's so many questions, so much shit to go through. This is a really long gaming video. I really maybe should have uploaded yesterday. There's a lot to go through. I'm really sorry, guys. At the end of the day here, this whole thing's a shit show. And like I said earlier, I do not think it would have gotten this big if it wasn't specifically Youtooz targeting these people. Like I said, if Scott did it, would not have been an issue. Nobody would have given a fuck. But because it was Youtooz, it really blew this situation up way more than it probably would have otherwise. But yeah, I'm glad that everything's out on the table here. I'm pretty sure the child labor accusations are probably false. There's always a chance they're real. You know, we don't have 100% confirmation, because I don't think we can ever have 100% confirmation unless, you know, they get exposed fully for having child labor practices. But I mean, proving yourself innocent in a case like that is very, very hard. So I mean, I'm glad they at least, you know, have the videos of the factories and everything. That's a very commendable thing to post. And they did try their best, even if their first response was Drake fucking tier garbage. I didn't know where to fit this in the video, because I really just didn't, but I really want to mention this too. Because I think it's important. Like I said earlier in the previous video, I don't have any real huge issues with Youtooz, but I think them being the ones to do this copyright takedown is so fucking lame and scummy. Because Youtooz as a company was literally built on copyright infringement. They started making Ugandan Knuckles figures, which is a design that they did not create on any front, right? Because there's the person who designed Ugandan Knuckles as like a video animation joke, and then there's fucking Sega, you know, the people who actually designed Knuckles, the character, and neither of those people had anything to do with that. And then they also did a Pepe figure at some point that was taken down because they just didn't ask the guy who made Pepe before they made a fucking figure of it. So Youtooz is not completely innocent of infringing on copyright. Like, they are very guilty of this too. And I don't know, Youtooz is not the company that should be doing this. Like I said, no real issues with them, but I want to just make it very clear that Youtooz is the issue for the beginning of all this. They should not have been the one to do this copyright takedown. If anyone else did it, we would not be here probably. Or at least we would be here, but to a very significantly smaller scale. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't want to come across like, oh, I'm Youtooz's #1 hater. I just feel like there's a time and a place to, you know, be Mr. DMCA, and I don't think Youtooz was in that time and place. If people are making genuine, actual genuine bootlegs of their products, of course take them down. Fuck those people. But these are not, not at all. And of course, I'm still looking forward to, you know, a couple Youtooz products, of course, like the chipper stuff and all that. So I mean, I'm not like on my hater arc or anything. I just want to be very clear. There's, you know, I just wanted to put my stance out there and say that, you know, maybe it should not have been Youtooz to do the copyright claim. That's it. That's where I'm leaving it. This video is way too long. If there's another update to this, I'm sure I'll have another video. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I've been Yeah Gaming, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, everybody.